All right, guys, you're listening to the Inspirational Power Hour. We have with us today, guys, we're talking to recording artist Marcus Cole. How are you, Marcus?
Hey, Chandra, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking time and for talking with our listeners today.
My pleasure.
So, Marcus, you've been in the gospel industry for a long, long time. Well, not to make you sound old, but just to let people know that you're not a novice to this by any measure.
No.
And now you're back on the scene with some new music. But let's go all the way back to the beginning and tell our listeners how you got started in gospel music, because you actually started with a very well-known group.
Well, I guess we can go back as far as Commission, which was in '98. My first date with Commission was Marvin Sapp's last date, and I was in New York at Radio City Music Hall. And so, ever since then, it's been it's been a blast. It's been a learning experience, and I did about a year on the road with Fred Hammond, so I kind of had this really interesting view of the guys, right? You know, Marvin Sapp, Fred Hammond, and Mitch Carl, and the rest of them. And I was able to travel with Fred for about a year with the play. And so I got to know them, and I really got an understanding of who Commission was. Before then, as a kid, I grew up listening to Commission, every last album, all the songs, I know everything. And at any rate, when I had the opportunity to join the guys in '98, I mean, that was phenomenal for me, because I was doing my thing locally in Michigan, pursuing music and what I love to do in terms of ministry. And then I got that opportunity, and I felt like that was God placing me on the track of where I should be. And being with the guys, they were about 10 years older than me, and so they had a lot of wisdom to impart, and breaking me into the industry. It was good to be with them because they were able to share with me what to do, what not to do. And so being with them and being on that stage at the reunion concert was amazing, because I'm looking down the line, looking at the guys who influenced me in singing, and I just thought that was such a God moment for me, and I'll always be appreciative of that.
So you were a part of one of the most well-known gospel groups in gospel music history, and we've seen several of the members continue their ministry and their careers, and so now you're on the scene with your new music and Letting Go. This is the new single. Marcus, I've heard it. I absolutely love it.
Thank you so much.
And I've actually been a fan of your music for a while. You have one of the most amazing and unique voices in gospel music. But let's talk a little bit about this music. Tell our listeners how it came to be, what inspired it, and what listeners can expect from the upcoming project.
Well, the thing about Letting Go, I often tell people this. It is a song of vulnerability, and that's the first thing that we decided to go with. And I thought it was interesting when Mano called me and said, you know what, I'm really digging Letting Go, so let's put that on first. And I was like, all right, that's cool. But it wasn't until I heard it on the radio for the first time that I realized how transparent I was being in that song. Because when you write it, you first write it for yourself, and then when you hear it, you realize other people are hearing it as well. And I realized lyrically how vulnerable this song is. So Letting Go talks about my journey. I'm 40, right? So at this point in life, you get bombarded with what should you be doing right now? Did you do everything right to be in this position, especially in the music industry? There's so much that you got to contend with, right? And if you're not careful, ego jumps ahead of you. Ego gets out there, and you start doing things that you weren't necessarily called to do or graced to do. And so you just kind of start doing anything. Oh, I got to get back out. This has been 7 years in the making since my first album. And it had nominal success. I mean, it was with CeCe Winans on her label, Pure Springs, and Mano produced that one as well. And it did okay. It was okay. But sometimes you can have that pressure, like you got to outdo the last one. You got to do better than the last one. You got to be doing something. And I just woke up a few years back. I woke. It was a process. Waking up is not, it's figurative. And so you wake up after a while, after this incident, that incident, you start going, hey man, I'm chasing something that is bringing me too much grief. And I just started realizing, like, I want to be happy with the plans that God has for me, because He has His own timing. And it doesn't matter how old you are, and that's the problem, man. You start looking at age, like, I should have been here by now. I should have been doing this. You look at the age and whatnot, the times, and who's doing what, and you get real discontent. And I'm glad that I was able to find this peace at my life where I am. I'm a worship pastor here in Connecticut. Just moved to Connecticut about 9 months ago, and I'm a worship pastor here at Vertical Church, and this is my passion as well. So I was able to find an anchor in all of it, and it's all relative because, you know, it's organic for me to be a worship pastor, to work in music, to produce and to write. It's all in the same boat. So that's what this album is about. It's kind of my journey, but it's my thoughts on paper in music. And it's observational, and it's, you know, this album is less worship. It really is an observation of society, and listen, where we fit in society, because sometimes we can bury our heads in what we call worship music, to where we don't even know what's going on in the news. We don't even know what's going on out in the world with our neighbors even. So this album is more socially conscious. It's God at the very core, but it's socially conscious. I believe the Father wants us to come out of the third dimension, because if you look at the construct of the tabernacle, it is the outer court, the inner court where the priest is, and then the third dimension, which is only where the spirit is. But there's no back door, and there's no way out but the way you come in. Sometimes I think the Father wants us to come back out, you know, and observe what's going on around us and how effective we are in this world. And that's what this album really focuses on. It's socially conscious. It's great music. I think it's great music. I had a couple of years to work on it, and so that's what they have to look for in this movie, in this album. A lot of people say, "Oh, it has something for everybody." No, it doesn't. I think there's a particular demographic for this album. I think there's a particular type of folk who will hear it and it'll resonate with them. Like, oh, I got you. I don't think it's something for everybody. I mean, I think that's a crazy album. That's a really eclectic album to have something for everybody. But I believe whoever it's for, it's effectively for that person.
All right, everybody. Again, we're talking to Marcus Cole, and we're going to listen to the brand new music in just a second. But Marcus, like I said, I've been a fan of your voice for a long time. And I remember actually a song that you did with Pastor R.A. Vernon and his praise team. That was an amazing song.
Yeah.
I love that song. You know, and I don't think a lot of people really realize that was a great project, Pastor R.A. Vernon and his praise team. It really was.
Absolutely, it was.
All right, listen, Marcus, tell all of our listeners how they can connect with you and keep up with everything that you're doing.
Well, yeah, you know, as always, you can connect with me on Facebook. You can find me there, and Anima Music at Facebook, and you can always connect with River Flow Entertainment, and the Flow is spelled P-H-L-O, River Flow, P-H-L-O.com, and we have a great family over there with Vonnie Lopez and Leon Timbo and Andre Crouch and Keith Staten. We got a great family over there, so you can connect at riverflow.com and kind of check out what's going on and what's about to happen over there. And I actually respond. I actually talk back to people, because I believe that's why people reach out, is to, have some contact.
All right, guys, so make sure that you connect with Marcus Cole and be on the lookout for all this new music. Go ahead and download it, support. We definitely want to continue to support him in his ministry. But you mentioned, before we go, you mentioned one of your producers, Mano Haynes. He is an extremely talented producer. Tell us about some of the people that he's worked with. I know at one point he worked with Ledisi, I believe.
Yeah, early on he worked with Ledisi when she was kind of really getting established. And Andre Crouch, he did Andre's last offering. Yeah, Pastor Marvin. I mean, he's worked with Fred some years ago. CeCe Winans, he was her MD for a number of years with Layla Hathaway. I mean, this guy is like, I don't want to say the Quincy Jones of gospel, because I think that's kind of, it's limiting him. He's very much in the like of a Quincy Jones. He's amazingly talented and a great person to work with. And we were friends first, and that's always good. We were brothers first before we ever started working together. So this is definitely a God thing.
All right, guys, I'm telling you, if you want to hear some great music, make sure that you support Marcus Cole. As a matter of fact, we're about to listen to this new single. Marcus, I would love it if you would go ahead and set it up for us. We're about to listen to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, this is my offering, my latest offering. It's called Letting Go.
I thought all my dreams would have happened for me by now, and I thought that I'd be well on my way by now.